Hey, what's going on, guys? We are live again with another video. Today, I do have some breaking news to talk about. As Arsenal's academy kid in the under 18s, Aiden Heaven, is being linked to a move away from Arsenal, potentially going to Manchester United if Arsenal fail to get his signature dealt with soon enough. Another academy kid we could lose after losing the likes of Kazir Dewberry, Roel Walters, and Cheeto Obi Martin previously in that just passed in the summer window. Um, Looks like there's some issues with the academy on some players struggling to find a pathway to the first team. Even now, when we got rid of Balogun, I know it didn't work out for Balogun at Arsenal, but you could say he could have had an opportunity now, especially considering the facts that our squad is quite thin and Gabriel Jesus being injured. No one could have predicted that. I do hope with a few days left of this transfer window, about a week and a half or so left of this transfer window, I really hope we address our attack situation. I am going to be talking about Kieran Tierney's move away from Arsenal, which could be as early as this upcoming window. Kieran Tierney has will be signing a pre-contract with Celtic to move in the summer, but that pre-contract will be signed before this window closes to go back to his boyhood club where it all started for him at Celtic. We're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about Marco Rose's update on Benjamin Sesko. Is the player completely off the table for Arsenal and Chelsea? As a matter of fact, Maldini is ahead of Heaven 100% in the pecking order. As someone that goes to the academy games regularly, Stu, you're definitely right. And, you know, not everybody is going to make it in the academy, and some players in the academy, their agents are all the same relatively, and I think they get easily influenced when they see large amounts of money presented to them, like we saw with Omari Hutchinson in the past, who was from our academy. He went to Chelsea. Of course, Chelsea sold him on and made money off of him, but it's not going to work for every player in the academy. Not everybody's going to make it like a Reese Nelson, like a Saka, or like a Smith Rowe, even though I do love our Hale End prospects and I always want the Hale Enders to do well. We are going to also talk about links of Zinchenko, Arsenal's left back, possibly going to Borussia Dortmund after failing to get Renato Vega's signature from Chelsea. So we're going to be talking about the links of Alexander Zinchenko, expected to leave Arsenal before the window shuts this month, with German clubs, including Borussia Dortmund, looking at him according to Matt Law. Then the next player on our radar is, of course, we heard the exclusive of Zubamendi potentially getting Arsenal's signature pen to paper in the summer. This is, for me, a Partey replacement. I think Arsenal are going to move away from Thomas Partey. I appreciate his services this season for when he's been available. To be fair, in the games where he's played in midfield, his actual position, he's dominated those games. When he's at right back, I do significantly feel that our midfield is deprived in some games that we drew. For example, that Aston Villa game, we were 2-0 up. We should have never got to the case where we're relying on a last minute goal or a controversial VAR decision of a handball. We should have easily won that game. Everton at home, failing to beat them. But putting Partey at right back neglects other positions like the midfield, and most games are won in the midfield. So we're going to be talking about the links of Zubamendi, who could play 6 or 8, and could this mean that Marino is going to be a squad player like the signing he was for us, and how he's going to be moving on into next season, or is Arsenal going to change the system and go into a double pivot? We'll have yet to find out. I don't think Arsenal will go into a double pivot, personally. I don't see us doing that. Hi, Moss. Hi, C. Walder. Hi, Jose. Thanks for joining. So it's officially January 23rd, and Arsenal have officially signed zero, no signings whatsoever. I don't think it's to panic just yet, but I do hope that the club is working on something productive. None of this monitoring FC or negotiations FC, or we've agreed personal terms with Cunha, and Mateus Cunha is still waiting for a contract with Wolves. The latest on Mateus Cunha is that Mateus Cunha might actually be staying at Wolves, and adding a release clause to his contract. So if Wolves was to get relegated, I think he would find himself out of there. The other thing with Wolves is if Wolves get relegated, they're going to miss out on insane amounts of TV revenue, up to 150,000 potentially for Wolves, and they would need parachute payments to survive. Um, After being relegated. February 3rd is the deadline. That's correct. I really hope that Arsenal will strengthen our attack because we desperately need it. We have a lot of games still to be played in the Champions League. Thankfully, we won yesterday, and then we just need a draw against Girona to officially make it to that top 8 group. Not having to deal with the playoffs. It's great for us. And I think we haven't conceded a goal in the Champions League. So massive credits to Raya for that, and the defensive backline as well. I did talk about the game against Dinamo Zagreb yesterday. So if you do want to check out my previous video, this is solely going to be a transfer news related stream. And the breaking news today from Fabrizio Romano was Arsenal's academy kid who plays in defense for us is being linked to a move potentially away from Arsenal to Manchester United. Arsenal have offered him a new contract, but there's still talks ongoing on whether the player is going to sign the new contract with us or whether he'll look for a pathway outside of Arsenal to join Manchester United. Manchester United have already contacted the player, and I think Frankfurt are also interested in Aiden Heaven, and Barcelona making an approach for the 18-year-old defender. But keep in mind, Arsenal did offer him a new deal, so you can't say Arsenal didn't offer him a new deal. What that deal consists of, I don't know the details of, but he's just an academy kid, and like Stu was saying, Maldini is ahead of him. So I would say this is not something we should be upset about too much. Like, they just took Chido Obi Martin from us in the summer. Honestly, I think in terms of our youth products, just like I said earlier, not everybody's going to make it in the youth system. But I do think there's a clearer pathway at Arsenal than there is at Manchester United. Which is what we saw with Chido Obi Martin when he went to Man United, whether it be for the money or for a better opportunity. No home goals conceded. Yes, that's correct. That's what I meant to say. No home goals conceded. We have clean sheets in all of our home games in the group stages so far. And the next game is Girona away, which will be interesting to see next week. Then the likes of Benjamin Sesko. So all this Benjamin Sesko talks with RB Leipzig. The managing director comes out and says, Arsenal and Benjamin Sesko, there's definitely no contact with any of the clubs. He'll continue to wear the RB Leipzig jersey, standing firm that this player is not for sale, and any move away from RB Leipzig will only be potentially talked about in the summer. I do think his price tag is about 80 million. Or 70 to 80 million, I would say. And you did hear for Mateus Cunha, the price tag that Wolves were evaluating him at was 80 million just to begin talks. For a Premier League proven player, some people like to use that argument. I don't think Cunha is an 80 million player at all, and I don't think Arsenal should be paying that price tag, especially if it eats into our summer budget. Potentially not being able to get Alexander Isak. I know that's a player we've targeted for the summer, so I hope if we were to spend big money this window, would that affect our summer transfer budget? Even though we will get Champions League revenue, I still think with profit and sustainability rules, there's some things to be cautious of. And I'm not saying don't spend the money. I'm not being controversial or a hypocrite and saying don't spend the money. I'm saying we need someone who's going to strengthen us and something that we can either get a loan deal. I did see people saying rumors of the fact that Douglas Luiz is available on loan from Juventus. People also mentioned Dusan Vlahovic. I'm not sure about this Dusan Vlahovic talks. Me personally, I've been reading that the talks have died down. And the fact of the matter is that Team News and Tick said early on that Vlahovic was offered to us from his agent on loan. But Arsenal, we have no indication on whether Arsenal spoke to Vlahovic or whether Vlahovic agreed to leave. And secondly, he's the second highest earner in the Serie A, so I don't think we'll be paying high wages. We're already trying to offload Jesus, Zinchenko, Kivior potentially to save wages, or to minimize wages. So I don't see us signing Vlahovic if he's the second highest earner in Serie A. Why would he leave the Serie A to come to the Premier League on a wage cut? I just don't see that happening. I think it's quite unrealistic. The other player is Juventus. He went from Aston Villa to Juventus with his girlfriend Alicia Lehmann. It's Douglas Luiz. Douglas Luiz was an okay player at Aston Villa, but is that the level of signing that's going to elevate us? I don't think so. I think it's definitely for squad depth. It would help us. Just another body to have in this team that's completely deprived on the bench. You saw against Aston Villa, they brought John Duran from the bench. They brought Leon Bailey from the bench, and they had Daniel Malen on the bench. Meanwhile, we had a Finnish Sterling. And no disrespect to Sterling, but it's getting really frustrating to watch him play. And I'm someone that's more optimistic. Whenever a player signs for us, whether it's a good signing or not, of course, not all signings are going to work for us, but I really thought the minute this guy puts on the shirt, we need to get behind him and we need to support him. But unfortunately, in the last couple of games, Sterling's not really helping himself, and he looks really shot for confidence in front of goal, and even in the team, he just doesn't look like he belongs there. He doesn't look like he wants to be here. There's insane question marks around his confidence in front of goal. You've seen in big moments that he's costed us by not returning. I know it's just a loan deal, but it's still one for me that didn't work out, and I'll never really understand if that was something Arteta wanted or if it was something that Edu suggested because it was a London related matter. The player was already in London, and this was a deadline day sort of panic loan, is what I'm going to call it, because I don't think they would have gone all summer and said, yeah, let's get Raheem Sterling as one of our transfer targets in the previous summer window. I also think, when we're talking about this January window, most teams don't buy players in January unless there's a market opportunity, because most of their players are Champions League tied. They're cup tied. Ademola Lookman, he could win the Serie A. Why would he leave now? Benjamin Sesko, why would he leave now? There's big question marks. You would have to pay big money. Renato Vega, we did see a move for him. We saw a move for Omar Marmoush. We saw West Ham's bid for John Duran get denied, and Aston Villa come out and say that John Duran is not for sale. They're not selling him. They have no intention of selling him. And I think he signed a short-term contract extension with Aston Villa previously, John Duran. I like his attitude and I like the type of player he is, but I don't think he's a signing that would elevate Arsenal. And I know we're desperate for attackers. We're desperate for a forward or for a winger, a versatile winger. But I just really hope we get someone in this window. And I think all this talks around Benjamin Sesko, it's quite clear that there's an indication the club aren't willing to let him go. Marco Reus, the manager of RB Leipzig, came out today and said it's still the case that this player is going to continue to wear the RB Leipzig jersey. Of course, no manager is going to come out and say I'm selling my player this window, but I do hope that Arsenal are working diligently in the background during the last few weeks of the transfer window. I wouldn't say to panic just yet, but that's just me. And I know some fans are already fed up of us not bringing someone in, especially considering the fact that we have Manchester City at home on February 2nd. Meanwhile, our next two games are away from home on the road, with Saturday at 3 p.m. We're playing Wolves at the Molineux Stadium. Will Cunha be in the squad or not? That's one to tell. So my next one is going to be Zubamendi in the summer. So Ben Jacobs came out today and talked about the Zubamendi signing. James Bench on Give Me Sport talked about the Zubamendi signing in the summer. Of course, earlier this week, we did hear the breaking news that Arsenal are favorites to land Zubamendi's signature this summer, which could mean this well and truly be the Thomas Partey replacement. Thomas Partey being in the final year of his contract and very much so aging in that position. we did hear that Arsenal would potentially go over the release clause to facilitate payments. Would take an incredible turn of events for the player not to be an Arsenal player in the summer, according to James Bench. So on Give Me Sport, he did say that this means that we could break the release clause just a bit more pay to make the payments for Zubamendi. It's almost like when we signed Thomas Partey, we paid all of that money for the release clause up front. When you're signing a player on a release clause, you need to pay all that money up front. It's not an amortization or installments type of payment. So that's just something to know. Hi, Nee. Hope you're well. And Donna, do you wanna? Nice to see you, Donna. C. Walder says, I feel the same about Sterling as I did with Willian. It made quite a lot of sense until we saw them play for us. Oh my gosh. I think Willian had one good free kick for us, and that was it. But the one thing I will say about Willian, and I think Jorginho has indicated the same thing to Arsenal as well, is he didn't want the remainder of his wages to be paid out. He terminated his contract, and it was really respectful of him to say to Arsenal, look, you don't need to pay the rest of my wages. I'm leaving. And then he moved on to Corinthians. So I think Willian is currently a free agent, but oh my gosh, he was good at, like, he was half decent at Chelsea, but when he put on the Arsenal kit, it was a nightmare, and it was so frustrating to watch him play for us. Um, I did talk about the Aiden Heaven news, the academy kid, academy defender, 18-year-old, currently being linked to Barcelona, also being linked to Manchester United in the Premier League, and some clubs looking at him. I think Manchester United are looking at him because they failed to get Renato Vega, the Chelsea prospect, and Frankfurt are also looking at Aiden Heaven. But Arsenal have offered him a new deal, so that's one to watch and see whether he's going to take the new deal with Arsenal or whether he'll be moving on. I think the Telegraph says German clubs are putting the left back Zinchenko on top of their transfer plans. Again, another player they missed out on, Renato Vega, someone that they could have got, who's heading to Juventus on loan officially today. Renato Vega's going and already got signed for Juventus on loan. I think that'll be a good move for him. He looked really good previously, so good luck to the Chelsea kid, Renato Vega. We did talk about Kieran Tierney's pre-contract to Celtic. I wish him all the best. Yesterday, guys, in the game that he played, I know he hasn't played in several games, but Kieran Tierney yesterday, he was so good. The crosses that he makes, he made things tick and he made things work for us. I think he was a better option to play than Kivior in the last game against Aston Villa. I wish we would have played Kieran Tierney. I wish we would have gave him a chance, but I do think that this is going to be wrapped up soon. Kieran Tierney's pre-contract with Celtic, so he'll leave in the summer, but he'll have a pre-contract already this window just to affirm that he's leaving in the summer window. Best of luck to Kieran Tierney, because that's his boyhood club, and he'll go back to Celtic and head back to the Scottish Premiership. It's a shame. He was a really good player for us. I think he was a good leader, and at the time there was discussions on whether he should be the club captain. Of course, we made Odegaard club captain, and I still think that was a deserving opportunity for Martin Odegaard. But there was many discussions on whether Kieran Tierney should be captain in the fan base. He left international duty holidays early just to come back and train with Arsenal, but injuries got the best of him. So I wish him all the best on his emotional return soon to the Scottish Premiership Championship champions. I wish him all the best there in SVFL. He'll go back to his boyhood club of Celtic, where it all began for him. So I hope he can get back into gear. Kieran Tierney. I know a lot of Arsenal fans really loved him and still like him. For me, he's a player that always gives him his 100%, even when he's not fully fit. He gave it his all, and he always tried. We saw something from him, even when he wasn't fully fit. So that's something I do have to say I admire from Kieran Tierney, and I wish him all the best in the SPFL. Hi, Moss. Hope you're well. Donna's asking me, is Moss joining? No, I asked Moss if he wanted to join me, but Moss is busy with work, so he's probably listening in the background but working. we'll be doing a watch along for the Wolves game on Saturday morning, at my time morning, but 3 p.m. UK time. So check us out then. And then yesterday I did a review of Arsenal versus Dinamo Zagreb in the final Champions League group stage at home at the Emirates. And then we'll do the Girona match review right after the game away, which is the final away leg of the group stages. I think yesterday's main talking point was the PSG and Man City game. And then Celtic also, they held on to win 1-0. Rangers playing Man United. It just started, just kicked off not long ago. So I hope Rangers beat Man United. I don't like Man United. My mom and my sister support them. So I hope Rangers win. Diomande and Co. Zanzi, hope you're well, my friend. Thanks for joining. I just wanted to do a really quick transfer news update to talk about the latest and give you guys a summary of what I've heard from Matt Law, from The Telegraph, and from Fabrizio Romano himself, and James Bench. Credible journalists is what I cover, and I try not to go into people who are not reliable or people who are tweeting for clicks, especially when it comes to the transfer window. Will be linked to Benzema again for all we know. And the talks of us being linked to Victor Osimhen, I don't see that happening. Again, another player who's on high wages. He was on extremely high wages at Napoli, and I know he's on Turkey. He's in Turkey right now, in the Turkish league, but I still think he's on really high wages, and I don't see him leaving to join Arsenal. Same thing with Ademola Lookman. He could win the Serie A, and I don't think they would leave. And they're in the Champions League still too. Jonathan David could be leaving on a free, my fellow Canadian. It's a shame Arsenal aren't looking at him, not looking at Kyle Larin, not looking at Alphonso Davies. But keep in mind, Alphonso Davies looks like he could be signing a new deal now that Bayern Munich have company in charge and no longer have Thomas Tuchel. I wish Alphonso all the best. I saw him play live, and I met him pre-match game, Arsenal versus Bayern Munich. Really nice guy, really humble, down to earth, and more importantly, represents Canada. So I hope that move goes well for him now under Vincent Kompany. I do like to watch the German league. Zanzi says, I heard that Arsenal have a 150 million boost. We're now the third richest British side, 7th overall. Only the two Manchester sides are above us in British earnings. I did read something like that on Twitter today, especially about our revenue overall, what we've generated as a club. But my one thing I will say is, I really hope that we address it this window where we need reinforcements, especially considering the fact that Jesus went down injured with an ACL injury. I don't think Arsenal would have went to sign someone this window and let go of Zinchenko if it means we're not getting a backup, let go of Kivior if we're not getting a backup, and recalling Fabio Vieira. I don't think that's sufficient enough for us to sustain to go far in the Champions League this season. And we're still in a EFL League Cup second leg against Newcastle at St. James Park. I do want to say, like, with Jesus going down injured with an ACL related injury, out for the rest of the season, I think if that hadn't happened, I don't think Arsenal would have addressed or would have tried to address the striker situation slash versatile winger this window. I think they would have waited till the summer. And I think because Jesus went injured, it forces the club to go into the market, whether it be a loan opportunity or a permanent transfer for someone who's available. The Cunha situation is definitely one to watch, but it's getting quite frustrating because it's now looking like, although he agreed personal terms with Arsenal, it's looking like he could be doing a U-turn and adding a release clause to his extension at Wolves. I think Arsenal have kept Cunha in the background, but tried to work on Benjamin Sesko. I still think we might go for this guy from Juventus, who used to play at Aston Villa. I just mentioned him. My mind is blanking on his name. The guy that's with Alicia Lehman. My mind's blanking. I talked about him for the last 20 minutes on here. I think we might get him on loan, Douglas Luiz. even when he was at Aston Villa before he left to Juventus, there was rumors that in the summer we were going to go for him. I'm not sure if Arteta liked the player profile or if he was someone we were genuinely linked to, but I did see a lot of rumors and a lot of paper talk around Douglas Luiz to Arsenal, and I think that he does not elevate the squad and is not what we need in terms of credible and viable reinforcements. I know he's a Premier League proven player, but Premier League proven doesn't mean you're going to be all that. Look at Raheem Sterling right now. And I know Raheem Sterling was incredible at Liverpool, incredible at City, but currently the Raheem Sterling that we have is shot for confidence. My niece could do better in front of goal. And she's only 2 years old. So that speaks volumes, and it's a shame it didn't work out for us at all. And that's one we need to just write off completely. And I don't see Sterling leaving this window either. And I also don't think Arsenal will give back Neto. I think we'll make Neto permanent and then go for another goalkeeper. There was news today, a relation to a goalkeeper that Arsenal are still looking to sign another goalkeeper. I'm just looking for the journalist who mentioned it, but today there was news that Arsenal were still looking at a goalkeeper to sign, and I think we're still eyeing on that goalkeeper Garcia, who had a 30 million release clause in the summer, who we didn't sign. So James Bench came out today and said Arsenal are in the market for another goalkeeper in the summer. If we could address that this window, it would save us a signing from the summer where we have to address 6 to 7 positions. I don't think Neto personally is a long-term option, and I know Raya is a number one, and I hope it stays that way. I think Zinchenko to Dortmund could be a good move, but without getting reinforcements in and without getting a replacement for Zinchenko, we're thinning out the squad even more, and that's quite concerning. And I hope that doesn't mean we're on course for an even thinner squad. So I hope it means we're definitely getting someone in if we're willing to get rid of Zinchenko to Dortmund. And for me, Zinchenko had a really good game yesterday. He made a difference in coverage on the defensive line. I know defensively his work rate is his duties are not good, but yesterday he had a good game, and you got to give credit when and where it's due. I know I said I wouldn't talk about the game, but it is in reference to the player. And for me, he had a good game, and you have to give credit when and where it's due. With that being said, folks, that's all I have today for transfer news updates. So just to summarize, Kieran Tierney is going to be signing a pre-contract with Celtic. Zubamendi's pen to paper most likely to happen in the summer, according to James Bench. Zinchenko to Dortmund's being linked after Dortmund failing to get Renato Vega, the Chelsea prospect, who's now at Juventus on loan. Aiden Heaven, Arsenal's academy defender, 18-year-old, being linked to Manchester United, Frankfurt, and Barcelona. And Benjamin Sesko, the manager of the club, coming out and saying this player is not for sale. He'll continue to wear the RB Leipzig jersey. Does that mean Benjamin Sesko is completely off the cards for Arsenal? That's definitely one to watch and more to see in the upcoming weeks of the transfer window. With that being said, folks, probably tomorrow I'll do a Wolves preview away at the Molineux. Hope for the best for us. I really hope we win that game. Thanks, Nee, for joining. Thanks, everyone who joined today. Shout out to BX, Moss, Zanzi, Nee, Rosie. I know she'll watch on replay. Donna, Juana, C. Walder, Awal. Thanks, everyone who's joined. Jabril. Respects to everyone who joined today. Really appreciate all of you. At 10 p.m. UK time, we'll be on the Adams Arms, the Gooner channel, Adams Arms Pub. We'll be talking about all things Arsenal and all things transfer related. Maybe even talk about the Wolves game coming up. 2 away games now for Arsenal. Hopefully we get 6 points in those 2 games. Come on, you Gunners, as always. Stick together as a fan base. It's really hard to say that nowadays when people are so divided over Arsenal and the manager, but I hope we take it one game at a time, and most importantly, it's clear that our attack needs help, and I do hope we address that this window. Have a wonderful rest of your day, everybody. Enjoy the football. Man United are playing Rangers. Rangers are away at Old Trafford, so I'm going to check out that game. And I know Tottenham played as well earlier today. I didn't watch the Tottenham game. Hi, Chris. Thanks for joining. I'm just wrapping up the stream. I wanted to talk about Arsenal's latest transfer news. Thanks for joining, Chris. And thanks, BX, for joining. Really appreciate it. Have a wonderful rest of your evening or afternoon, everyone. Take care. Adios. We're out of here.